Welcome to Obscured Reality with Mark and Stephanie. From UFO sightings to the lost city of Atlantis, from alien encounters to the living dead, each episode will leave you questioning reality. If you're ready to explore the eerie, tune in to Obscured Reality, where mysteries come alive.
On a happy note, welcome back, people. Obscured Reality, Mark and Stevie, we're back, and we got an interesting one tonight. We are going to start off with a news article. We're not going to go through the whole thing, just a little bit of it, and then we have a very important document to show you, a VIP document from none other than the CIA. And, well, you're going to find out real quick in this article what this document's about. It's interesting as hell. We'll do a little explanation on the document first after we go through the article. But let's start with this, and then I'm gonna show you the document. But let me read part of this article first. So, for me, this article popped up on Fox News, and I'm not even sure. April 13th. That's when it came up. Okay. Yeah. So April 13th, 2025. So the headline here is viral CIA file about aliens attacking soldiers takes off with UFO intrigue. A Soviet-era document published on the CIA's website describes an alleged alien UFO encounter by military forces. All right, let's get into the article here. A declassified document posted to the CIA's website is raising eyebrows, with claims of an alleged UFO attack on Soviet forces. The viral report summarizes an article published by Canadian weekly World News and the Ukrainian paper Holos. I'm going to mess this word up. Ukraini. So a Ukrainian paper named Holos Ukraini.
Sure.
UKRAY.
You did a wonderful job pronouncing that.
Yeah, sure. And was initially released to the public in May of 2000. The first-hand report describes a retaliatory alien attack after Soviet soldiers reportedly shot down a UFO flying over a military base. Now, again, we're going to read the document. It's one page. We're just a little more into the article here. The aliens reportedly emerged from the wreckage, fusing together into one object and bursting into a bright light and turning all but two soldiers to stone. You heard that right.
Medusa, are you with us?
Yeah. There's more detail in the report, so please hold on for that. Here's a quote. If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case, an unnamed CIA representative was quoted as saying in the report. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves, blah, blah, blah. We're going to read this in the report. Canadian Weekly World News estimates the supposed incident occurred between 1989 and 1990 and was initially published in 1993. That's interesting. I'm not saying there's a relation, but 1989, do we know what happened in 1989? 1989, folks. 1989. Anybody?
I turned 3.
That's when Bob Lazar's story came out.
Yeah.
Was published by George Nizap out in Vegas. Yeah. So that is that. According to the document, information acquired by U.S. intelligence revealed reports of a low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer over a Soviet unit participating in training exercises. So in this report, we're talking about a saucer. Interesting. Let's see here. Officials wrote that for unknown reasons, soldiers launched a surface-to-air missile at the unknown aircraft, causing it to crash near the military base. The report describes how 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged. And we'll get into the detail from the report. I don't want to go into it from this article.
Yes, the report.
Yes. Officials wrote that the remains of the petrified soldiers and the spaceship were transferred to a secret scientific research base near Moscow, where it was discovered, the soldiers, we'll get into that. Basically talking about what they think the stone is. We have a former CIA agent, Mike Baker. He is skeptical of the extraordinary claims. He is quoted, "If there was an incident, regardless of the nature of the incident, I suspect that the actual report doesn't look much like what has now come out from 5 or 6 or 7 iterations of what originally was written." And that's about it for the article. The rest of it is a bunch of hogwash, goes into a bunch of crap about current day, what's going on with this whole UFO topic.
Mm-hmm.
So just initially, I think you've probably read the CIA report.
Yes.
Put the CIA report out of your mind just from the article when you first saw the article. I'm assuming you saw the article.
Nope.
Not just, okay. Damn it. So from what I just went over, just the article, what's your first impressions trying to drown out what you've already seen from the report?
Well, it's kind of hard to ignore that. I mean, that's the first thing I read. So, just from the report, it sounds very similar to other reports of, beings turning into light, a saucer, but at the same time, the whole stone issue is definitely new. However, it makes complete sense. Because in what way? They have to defend themselves somehow. So it's like, I'm not going to try to make some science fiction thing up, but that's their version of defense. Like, I mean, it could have been a fucking microwave that, like, not a microwave, but a short burst of microwaves that made all of them turn into the pink mist. So, I mean, there's multiple ways they could have defended themselves. I just find the stone to be interesting, but at the same time, we're talking about UFOs. It's not that far-fetched.
I'd question if it was a defense tactic. I mean, it could have just been a dying thing or going back to where we came from, which would make you question why they would need the craft if they're at this point out of the craft going back. But, maybe it was just the simple procedure of them combining and exploding, disappearing that caused that to happen for these soldiers. Who knows? Let me let's pull up the document. Let's look at this. It's only one page. This is from the CIA right now.
Shout out to my coworker for bringing this to my attention.
So we have some stuff in here. Country, Russia, international, blah, 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 a bunch of crap. Paper reports alleged evidence on mishap involving UFO. So here's the spelling of that Ukrainian paper, Holos Ukraini, March 93. So again, they're saying they believe this happened in 89 or 90. So again, I mentioned Bob Lazar. I'm not saying there's a relation, but it's interesting. It's around the same time. So this is a reprint from the newspaper Ternopil Vekriny, Cosmic Revenge, first paragraph published in boldface. So this was, what'd they say? Canadian, right? Canadian paper. So this document is from the CIA. It's on their website. Anyone go look at it. Now, this is just a report from the CIA from the documents they got. Now, it's important to note, after the whole downfall thing with Mikhail Gorbachev and all that, tons of their data, their documents and things were sent to different places. One place that got obtained a lot of that data was the United States government.
Surprise!
This was there. Okay, so they did a report on it. That's all it is. This isn't the CIA saying this definitively happened, or it's real, or it's not real. This is just them filing a report on what was there. Okay, That's all this is. This isn't some CIA cover up. You'll see in here they're pretty neutral. I think. If I'm wrong, I'm going to find out in a second. But I've read it, and so let's start. I'm going to start right here. First paragraph. After Mikhail Gorbachev dissolved in 1991, the KGB top secret intelligence administration, a lot of material from that department found their way abroad, in particular to the CIA. As reported by the authoritative magazine Canadian Weekly World News, U.S. intelligence obtained a 250-page file on the attack by a UFO on a military unit in Siberia. A 250-page report. I would like to see, no joke, and read that entire report.
Agreed.
I'd really like to see the whole thing, because you might be able to get a lot from that. You might be able to ascertain a tone. Maybe not, because it's probably written in Russian and it's going to have to be, translated. So who knows how that's going to come across? I mean, it'd be accurate, right? But maybe it won't read exactly how you would if you're reading it in Russian. The file contains not only many documentary photographs and drawings, but also testimonies by actual participants in the event. One of the CIA representatives referred to this case as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. According to the KGB materials, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. So now I'm curious what time this happened. When they say shade, if they're talking shade from something because of, shade from the sunlight, or if this was at night and it's just shade from the light.
That's how I read it.
So
personally,
could be either or, who knows? But I'd be curious. And the reason why is because daytime would be much more interesting, I think. Mm-hmm. Clearer views, things like that. Who knows? Mm-hmm. The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. That's interesting. Yeah. I'll tell you why in a minute. CIA representative stated, quote, "If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked." Well, there's no, let's just assume for a second, 100% this happened, okay? Mm-hmm. There's no saying that they were defending themselves. We don't know, you're not going to know one way or another just from this that was defense or not, because these 5 beings merged into one and big bright light, boom. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in here about the 2 remaining soldiers seeing any of these beings or one being 5 into 1 after the event. So it sounds more like a death of these 5 beings to me. Somehow merging into one and boom, they're done, they're gone. That's it. They obviously need the craft to get here or to get maybe from space into an atmosphere. Maybe they need the craft in the atmosphere. but it sounds to me more like a death rather than a defense. Either way, though, we don't know, and that's the point. How do you know?
We don't.
So after testing the stone pillars, which were
humans,
petrified humans, they're saying it's basically limestone. That's interesting because if you look at the history of UFOs, craft that is not ordinary, flying saucers, that type of thing. We have lights. We have over the years a lot of reported activity around mountainous areas and specifically limestone, things like that, where there's limestone underground, possibly water flowing over around the limestone, possible energetic effects from that. So I find that kind of interesting. Doesn't mean it means something or not. We don't know. But this is interesting.
Yeah.
Now, it makes me wonder why we have the CIA report, but not the actual 250-page report from Russia. I want to see that. If it's out there, let me know.
Yeah.
I will definitely do a little bit of digging, see if I can find something. I haven't found anything yet, but it's from Russia. So what's it going to hurt them to put it out for us to see, right? Wouldn't be a cover up from us, right? If this was real, if this happened, whatever, this wouldn't be a cover up on our part. The same amount, the same people that don't believe any of this still aren't going to believe it. The people that look at this as proof are still going to look at it as proof. The people that are neutral are still going to be neutral, and they might actually be a little bit swayed more towards the proof side with something like this. But honestly, show us the document. Yeah. Let us read it for ourselves. Do a get a translation of it. Put it out there in English, and let's see. Now, what is going to be most interesting about this is because we don't know if this really happened or not. This is just something put out by Russia. And it wasn't something put out by them like to us. These were documents obtained by us, by the CIA, after the fall of Gorbachev. Tons of documents for God knows what went to other places. CIA got their hands on a bunch of crap. This is one of them. So they didn't make up this 250-page document to send it to us or to get it out there so we could see it.
This was for their own internal use.
Right. And to play a game with us and try and get our heads in a loop. Look here while we're doing something over there. It clearly isn't that.
Nope.
So that makes it even more interesting on the possible realism of it. And you're talking about Russia. You don't F around in Russia as much as you do in America. I don't see, and I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience in Russia or with Russian military. And I don't know how it was in the Gorbachev days, the Putin days. I think we can all speak to. You'll be on a train somewhere and someone's going to slip you a Mickey in your drink and you're going to be done. Right. Back then, I don't know exactly, but these are a bunch of soldiers, almost 30 of them. But they're gone except for 2 of them. So are the names in the report? If the names are in the report, that'd be awesome. Get that out to the public. People could start looking in, trying to contact family. Hey, did this person really die?
Yeah.
What did the Russian government tell you as far as how they died?
What's the official cause of death? Yeah.
Yeah. How did they? What did they tell you as far as how they died? Because I'm sure they didn't tell them the truth, but maybe they did. Who knows? Right.
Yeah, because Russia I don't know. I've never seen Russia as a country to. I mean, okay, they do lie to their people, but right. What country doesn't? But at the same time, I just don't see them fucking around with UFOs. Like, you can't even be gay in that country. So, like, why?
Yeah, but unfortunately, with other countries, we don't see the same media they see. There's very little that This is their big thing right now, talking to Americans from other countries, talking to Americans, and you guys don't see what we see from the outside. And it's like, yeah, that's the same thing. We just realized it through the previous 4 years that, oh crap, we're being played massively, right? But it took that to really see into things. However, we're typically not going to see much of it, but we're going to see it from other countries, whereas other countries are going to see a lot of it here. But we also don't hear a lot of the real news, the real things that are happening in these other countries,
And that's why I follow non-American news sources. Get the real shit. But no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't see Russia as like a country to like dick around about UFOs. Like, I don't see that as, I don't know, personally.
So. Yeah, I don't. I've heard there's the stuff's definitely happening over there as well as around the world. But we just don't hear about it for some reason. So it's it's hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, countries do a really, really good job despite access to other news sources. They do a really good job of like even blocking other news sources
keeping
and like
all internal in the country.
A lot of countries do a very disgustingly good job of that, and that's really disturbing.
Well, maybe it's our own countries that are doing that, so we don't see it. America doing it, so we don't see other countries, a lot of their news. Other countries doing it, so other countries don't see it.
That's
why.
What I'm saying.
So you don't see what's really going on. Think of North Korea. I mean, there's a good example right there. They're keeping everything out, so their own people can't see. No, there's more to the planet than North Korea and your poverty-stricken life.
And the version of history that you have been forced to eat is not actually what happened.
Yep.
Everyone's allowed their version, but when that version is so wrong it harms the people, then something needs to be done about that.
Yeah. But, so I want to see this report. Yeah. I want to see the real thing.
No, absolutely. That would be a great little read. So
I think it'd be great. So what do you think about this? So we've read the report. This is probably at least minimum the second time you've gone through the whole thing. So what do you think?
Just like I said earlier, like and actually you said it too. For people who are very neutral like me, this definitely does sway me more towards the holy shit, this is real. I do believe in aliens. Like, I'm not so neutral that I'm like, I don't know if they exist. No, like, I do believe they exist. It's just a matter of picking out the bullshit stories amongst everything that we've heard.
Yeah.
This, however, I don't know what it is about it, but something just makes me feel like this could be a little bit more legit than some of the other stories that we've covered. So
yeah, this story for some reason makes me think about, and it's probably the quantity of people involved here, close to 30.
Yeah.
23. I don't recall where this was at. Maybe Argentina. You've all heard the story. It's very popular. The school in this other country. This was a long time ago. This happened. Bunch of school kids out there playing. It's like break time, recess, what we'd call it here. And they saw something land over by the tree. Something happened, and all these kids went over there and they saw it. And they have interviews with these kids as adults, and it was massive. They're like, no, there was a craft. Something was on the ground. It wasn't there before. It landed. We saw it come down. There were beings. There was life forms there that looked weird. Like, this is a legit, like, a bunch of kids. And back in the day, a lot of people are trying to say, possibly it's I forget the terminology. One or two
mass
saw something. Yeah, kind of mass hysteria.
Not hysteria, but like mass hallucination or some shit.
Yeah. And one or two start talking to the others, and now they're all. And I just find
gave the idea to another, and they all just started to believe that's what they saw. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that as complete crap. Yes, it can happen, and maybe to a few, but with kids, it can be hard obtaining a true story. Not that they're lying, but their words,
their perception of reality is different.
Their vocabulary is not developed.
Yep.
And the way they say things, you really got to pick things apart here and then here and get to this, and you really got to pay attention. But
stories are very fragmented. This part, that part, this part, that part.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't believe they're making it up. And they have interviews with a lot of these people as adults now. And surely someone's going to be like, not that we faked it, right?
But it wasn't what we thought it was.
But you don't even hear like, as an adult thinking back on what I saw, because something like that, whether it was aliens or not, something like that is something that boom immediately is just imprinted in your memory, and it's not in the back, it's in the forefront, and it's always going to be there, and you're going to think about it a lot. So even as adults, not one of them is going back saying, thinking about it now over the years as I've grown, become an adult, maybe it could have been this, maybe it could have been that. Nobody's saying that, And this really reminds me of that. I think it's just because of the quantity, but it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty neutral. When we say aliens, I think aliens exist. You said, I think there's life out there. I don't see why there couldn't be.
Yeah.
And we got to remember, alien is anything. Let's say, there's who knows, some new species of life that looks like half man, half monkey. Third human, third monkey, third whale, right? If you just saw that for the first time right now, that is alien. Until
unknown.
We can get a hold of it, we study it, we classify it, right? So I think there's probably life out there. It could also be alien life from here that we just don't know about yet. Yeah. But here's the thing. If there is life out there, my big question is, could it even get here? And we, again, would be talking about, you'd have to be talking about things such as portals, wormhole type thing, because the speed of light, it's pretty much unobtainable. And if you don't know what the speed of light is, look it up.
For us.
For us, whatever, you got to be able to propel through space.
True, but they also could be on a totally different vibration.
Who knows? But this goes in portals and wormholes and all that type of stuff, right? So stuff that we don't know is possible, is not possible, but now we know these little quarks, whatever. They can take the little thing in the middle of America and do something to it, make it do something, and the same thing on the other side of the planet does it instantaneously, reacts to it. So now their whole idea about traveling at the speed of light travel, is just boom, gone, and now they're on the line of thinking like, maybe there's some way of this happening, So this story, I'm neutral. I'm skeptical. I think there's life out there. My biggest question is, how could it possibly get here? But could be life from here as well. I don't know. Upon first reading, not the article, but the actual CIA document, the way this happened, as far as we just simply obtained these because of the downfall of Gorbachev and somehow all the documents came out, right? I don't see it as propaganda to try and mess with Americans or some other country.
Not at all.
Now, that doesn't mean it didn't come out to some other country we don't know. But I don't see it as that.
I mean, this is clearly something that the American government has been very interested in for a long time. Yeah. So the fact that this ended up in the CIA's hands does not surprise me in any ways. If soon as that went public, they were like, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. But I mean, of course, they didn't make a big deal about it. I mean, this came out a while ago.
They're going to be quiet about it. They don't have to tell us everything. And they don't.
Yeah. However, I would bet you most of you have never even heard of this. I didn't until a week or two ago.
I didn't hear about it until yesterday.
Yeah. So who knows what Russia did with this document, but I am kind of with you. I am more on the lines of believing.
I know.
It's hard to say it, man.
It is.
I'm more on the lines of believing this to some extent.
Yes.
And here's the thing. This is one of those stories that if you're going to say, I 100% believe it, or I believe it to some extent, like I just did, I don't know. The people turning to stone really plays into that. It's difficult. I don't know. We need the full report. We need the names of the soldiers, and someone needs to do some digging into those soldiers' families and get a hold of them and find out, did these people really die? Were they in the military? Did they die? Blah, 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 all that stuff. I'm at least 51%. I believe this. 49%. I don't.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's about how I feel.
I won't sway from there. No different than Bob Lazar. 49 one way, 51 the other. You can't be any more than that without proof. If you want to lean towards it, fine, but you can't go more than 51%, right?
Yep.
I mean, you're either leaning towards it or you're not. Doesn't even matter the percentage. You're above 50, below. Doesn't matter. This is one of those that I can't dismiss as complete bunk, complete garbage. I would hold on to this and say, I think there's a better chance there could be something to it.
Better chance than some of the others. Like I said, better chance than some of the others that we've covered.
Yeah. And I'm also seeing one more thing in this CIA document. The description of what happened. These 5 beings came together, buzz, hiss, and then extremely bright light. Man, the bright lights seem to play a lot in the UFO world.
Yes.
What did I see? A bright light. And that bright light, which you would expect to be attached to a man-made object, did something man-made objects can't do. And we see this play into tons of these stories. Bright light, daytime, bright light, nighttime, bright light, moving, doing shit it shouldn't be able to do. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It was around 89 as well. And I say that because if there's any truth to Bob Lazar's story, well, we have allegedly these exact same type of craft. Who's to say that wasn't us sending it over there, spying, doing something? I mean, and this isn't part of Lazar's story, but there's others saying we definitely have captured these beings, and at times we had them alive. Who's to say we weren't working with some of them and they're helping us, and they get in their craft, go to Russia, cloak, do your thing, get information? I mean, the possibilities, of course, are endless. The hypotheticals, the what ifs, they're interesting. They're fun to talk about. We don't really know, but look at the correlations, time frames, things like that. This 89 may have been a big time for this with us, and it may not have. Depends on what you believe. You need to believe facts, truth, evidence. And I need to see the full 250-page report.
Completely really agree, yeah.
I'd really like to read it, get a translation. So, yeah, that's it. We believe that document's 100% true. We got petrified stone soldiers. No, not quite, but very interesting.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like,
wow.
I
know. My coworker told me, he was like, you believe conspiracy theories, right? And I was like,
you just brought up something. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so here's the thing. Like, so he showed me it and I was like, you know what, man? Like, I have a feeling about this. Like, I thought of you immediately. I was like, man, there really could be something to this. And that's why I sent it to you. And I'm glad you had already heard about it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just have a feeling.
Yeah. real quick on conspiracy theory, just the term
Jesus.
Conspiracy theory. Hey, any of you who have a story of your own, that where you legit have seen something like I did, and you don't know what the hell it is, and you know it could be anything. Who knows? Let's say most likely man-made, but we don't know, right? And you don't talk about it. That's fine, and you eventually do talk about it to someone. If they start pulling that crap, oh, you believe in conspiracy theories. You got to keep in mind that stuff's been played out to talk bad about people, to put you down, to discredit you, fight back. Conspiracy theory in and of itself is not a bad term, and it doesn't mean anything bad. It means someone has a theory about something that happened that they believe may be a conspiracy. And technically, this right here, a lot of people would call this, this article we just read through, a lot of people call this a conspiracy theory, but I didn't read anything in there that would allude to this being a conspiracy.
It's just the theory.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So what if you get professionals trained in this type of stuff, and they look into things, and what is Elon Musk and the president conspiracy theorists because they're uncovering evidence of a conspiracy against the American people? Sure, but they're proving it. Conspiracy theory, conspiracy theorist isn't a bad term. Remember that and fight back if you tell your story to people. But if you want to tell your story to us, send us an email right there, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line. Tell us your story. We'll tell it for you on here. We actually have one coming up. I don't think we did it yet. I found it, and whatever, it's there. We'll go through it unless we already did. Shoot us an email, tell us your story. We'll tell it for you on here. If you want to come on the show real quick and tell your own story, you can do that. You can do it anonymously, no video if you want. Don't care. And then we can have a chat about it. That'd be cool. Like, share, subscribe. Do all the stuff you need to do.
All the things.
And with that said, we're out of here. I'm going to go dream about Russia.
Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.